Well, hi, everybody, and welcome to the Coaches Show. We're coming to you from the Eatery at downtown Lexington. I'm Miles Poole, along with the head men's basketball coach and athletic director at Davidson-Davie Community College, Matt Ridge. And, Coach, first of all, Happy New Year to you.
Same to you, Miles.
Good to be back. We're going to talk a little bit to the Storm fans about the only contest since our last Coaches Show. It was a big one. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the upcoming games that we've got over the next week. I want to remind you that you can ask the coach a question. If you're following via Facebook, we'll try to watch these as we go along and make sure that we're getting those in. And if you're in the Eatery and you want to come up and ask the coach a question, please feel free to come up. We got a microphone you can grab. Don't be shy, and you can ask the coach a question here or make a comment. We've also got very special guest. Well, we got a lot of special guests here tonight, but we've got one that's going to be on the show, Kevin Eagan.
Kevin has been instrumental in what we've done this year behind the scenes, providing me all kinds of analytical data and statistics. The guy is a lot smarter than I've ever pretended to be. Just really spends a lot of time helping us out.
Looking forward to talking to Kevin and learning a little bit about how he supports you and the team. And also, Jared Bowman, the engineer tonight, want to thank him for here. Tristan Wells and Brandon Mullis manning the camera for us. So let's get right into it, Coach. January 1st, big kickoff to the new year against Sandhills Community College. 40-point win, 96-56 win over the Flyers. They came into this game 10th ranked in the country among D3 teams. And although it's a non-conference game for you, really the history of this rivalry, I guess, makes this a bigger game than probably most non-conference games. And it was a huge win for you. Remind our listeners a little bit about the magnitude of this Sandhills matchup.
Well, after last year, we had some really heated games with them. Over the last 14-plus years, the rivalry has gotten to a point where it's just a lot of fun to be a part of. Coming into the game, they had just beaten Caldwell, who was a ranked Division I team. So for us to play at the level we played at, I was super proud of our team, especially defensively, Miles, to hold them to 50, whatever it was. I was really impressed how over 40 minutes, basketball is such a game of runs. I kept waiting for Sandhills to go on one of their big runs. But our guys, we were down to 9 kids that night. We had 5 guys sick and another kid out with another issue. So, we were kind of shorthanded. And so we played some guys some major minutes that wasn't normally in the rotation, and they played at a high level as well. So I was really proud of the team effort.
Well, 16 games since you guys had taken the court and played a game, and as has been with most of your wins this year, you guys jumped on them quick and got out to a big lead. I think you led at the break 45-27. Talk about the quick start against Sandhills coming out of that long Christmas break.
Well, we put a lot of pride and emphasis of how we defend, and I think we held them to 33% from the field for the game. They've got a lot of slashers this year, and the two ways Sandhills normally beats you is in transition and on the O boards. So we really try to emphasize picking up in transition, stopping the ball by the volleyball line, and really blocking out and being physical and rebounding the ball with 2 hands. So we had 2 guys in double-figure rebounds. That was Tin Boyer, which that was his first game of the year, and I believe Javion was the other one. So we had several guys with 7 and 8 rebounds. I think we out-rebounded them almost by 20. So I was really proud of our effort defensively as well as rebounding the basketball.
Dig in a little bit about that defensive effort. I think you guys created 30-plus turnovers. I think you had 42 points off of turnovers in that game, which is absolutely huge. Again, what are some of the keys to holding a team like Sandhills to only 56 points in a contest? They were averaging like 88 points a ball game coming in.
Well, they're a better offensive team than they play. They missed some shots they normally probably make. So that's the first thing. Is I don't know if we can give our guys the entire credit, although I do think we did a lot of things well. We got beat in transition 2 or 3 times, so over a 40-minute period with the number of possessions there are in a Davidson-Sandhills game, that's pretty good. And then the second thing was I think we really got out and denied and got a lot of deflections. To force 33 turnovers against a team that, quality is really, really impressive. So we were getting out and denying. We were getting out, pressuring the ball, and forced them into some passes they probably wouldn't have normally made. And then the last thing is we took 7 charges. We try to emphasize taking charges every day at practice, and this is probably the best group in my 15 years at Davidson that takes a lot of pride in doing just that.
You introduced me a couple of shows ago to your defensive goals. There's 12 defensive goals you got coming into the game, and I was trying to keep up with them as the game went along. I counted 9. You guys were 9 of 12. I think you guys did actually better than that. How did you shake out in that?
According to Coach Allen, he does it after every game. We had 10 of 12. Okay. So we've never lost a game where we've gotten 8 out of 12 or 8 or more. So,
yeah, I was trying to chart that as we went along. So
it's hard to keep up with.
Well, as fast as you guys play, it is hard to keep track. Again, we talked about Sandhills coming in averaging 88 points a game. They also had their leading scorer, Brian Quiller, who was injured, kind of same type of injury I think maybe that Tim had, and this was his first game back. So you come into the game with a high-scoring team, but now they get their really one of the higher scores in junior college ball, and from last year he was a top 10 scorer. So they get him back. Talk about that challenge and how well you think he performed in regards to that.
Well, he was probably a little rusty. He's probably a lot better. Well, I know he is. He's better than he played. But you have to give our guys some credit. Tim and those guys that guarded him throughout the game did a great job of keeping him off the O glass. I think he got a couple, 2 or 3 O boards. But for the most part, I think, we did a great job collectively cutting off penetration one pass away and not getting split, playing team defense and really doing a good job, not just on but off the ball. Somebody like him's tough to guard because he can step out and shoot a little bit. He's 6'6", plays way above the rim. So you've got to cut off his penetration and then, of course, keep him off the glass by blocking him out.
Well, you mentioned Tim. Tim, I thought he had an excellent game coming back. I mean, he came out right out of the blocks with a lot of energy, hit a 3-point shot early in the ball game. I think 14 points for Tim in the contest, 10 rebounds, so a double-double in his first game back. You look at the way he performed and maybe Brian in the way he performed for Sandhills, and you think, man, kind of night and day. You could really tell, and we're going to talk to Tim a little bit later on in the show. You could really tell that Tim had kept himself in shape. He was in really good game shape and had put a lot of work into his game. Talk a little bit about the work and how hard he's worked, even though he's been injured and not been able to play.
Well, there was a few days at practice, if Tim will be honest, where he wasn't playing and his finger surgery didn't have anything to do with his legs. So we had him at practice running miles, and there was a few days he looked at me like I was a little crazy when I told him what I wanted him to run, but it paid off. And he did perform at a high level, partly because he is in great shape. But another thing with Tim, just like LJ and Javion, all 3 of those guys have been with me for now 3 years. And when I watch Tim play, he is supremely confident in Tim. There's no questioning himself. He's very sure of himself on both ends of the floor. He's sure of what we're doing and how we're doing it. And it showed. When he caught the ball and he was open, he let it fly with supreme confidence. And I was really proud of how he not just shot the ball, but how well he defended, ran the floor. Because there's so many things in basketball you got to do quickly, especially at the pace we play. And Tim's used to playing at it. And he did not look like he hadn't played in the game. I was really proud of how he came out there and performed at such a high level after not playing for half the season.
Well, in addition to Tim, you had, I think, 4 other guys in double figures. So you had 5 guys scoring in double figures. Let's talk a little bit about, and maybe you can give us some of I know defense wins games, defense, but let's talk a little bit about the offensive highlights of this contest.
Well, we have 5 guys in double figures. Tim was one of them. Javion, I think, finished with 23. Aaron Ross was phenomenal. He had 17, I believe, and one play that was just a crowd pleaser where he got a steal and went behind his back when a Sandhills player went for a steal and finished the layup in transition. LJ was in double figures with 15, and Zai had 10. So, I think the toughest teams are the ones that are balanced to prepare for. And, this team's got a lot of guys that can score it. And some nights when, say, a Javion's off, another guy may take up his slack. Javion doesn't have too many nights where he's off. But, that's the thing about our group I think is the most difficult thing to prepare for is our balance. We don't have one guy averaging 30 points and then everybody else in single digits.
You mentioned that play by Aaron Ross. I think it was early in the second half maybe. And I was watching the game, but I also had my phone on, and there's a little bit of delay. So I have the advantage of being able to watch replays of the ball game there. And you could feel the air go out of the bench of Sand Hills after that play. I thought it was phenomenal, but I had to look at it again to see exactly what he did. That was just a great play. Great steal, number one, but super finish.
Well, and I'm going to be honest, I don't think it was a flashy play because the kid for Sand Hills went for the steal.
He did.
And that's why he went behind his back to protect the ball. So it was actually the right play.
Yeah.
So.
Well, from a fan's perspective, again, I think just watching it and not having to broadcast it, from opening tip, I think, to the final horn, to me it looked like one of the best games you guys have played, complete games this season. But from a coach's point of view, I want to hear what you think. How do you feel about that performance and how it stacks up with how you've played so far this year? And then in the season's journey, Coach, tell us about your thoughts on, are you seeing the progression and the improvement that you want to see in this team?
Well, this group is unique in the fact that we have three guys that have played 3 years at Davidson-Davie that have won a boatload of games. And that's LJ, Javion, and Tim. And then you got a handful of other guys, the Aaron Rosses, the Jarvis Tillmans, the Jaden Scrivens, all those guys that were major contributors last year to our team that went 23-3 and played for the national championship. So you got guys that expect to win every single, not just night, but really every possession. And when you have guys that hate losing as much as the head coach, you got a special group. And we got some guys on this team that absolutely hate losing. So, I'm very blessed to coach not just talented young men, but guys that hate losing, high character, and very coachable. I do think our best basketball is ahead of us. When I evaluated the film, there were a lot of mistakes we actually made against Sand Hills. We missed 4 or 5 layups. We missed some defensive assignments in transition. So, there's not like we're a finished product. To win a national championship, we got to continue to get better and base our pride on the future and not what would just happen.
Well, looking here, we got a comment here from Essie Jones. She says it was an awesome win, awesome team effort. So happy she was able to be in Brinkley Gym. Essie, we're glad you were able to be there too, and thank you for the comment. Also, Kip Childress is watching tonight. So if you have a question for the coach or a comment, send it in, and we'll keep following that.
Essie and Kip, we love you, appreciate you. I know Javion appreciates you, Essie. And Renata, he's back there waving to you. So hope to see you Saturday. Game time Saturday's 2 o'clock, not 3 o'clock, so get there early.
So last night, the game with Southwest Virginia Community College was canceled. Any word on that being rescheduled? We
actually rescheduled it today for next Thursday, so we'll have 3 games in 4 days. I know the guys aren't upset about that. Whenever I talked to Coach Boyd at Southwest Virginia this morning, he said their first day back off quarantine will be Wednesday. So I said, do you want to play Wednesday? He said, absolutely not. And I said, well, how about Thursday? He said, we'll do it. So we're playing 3 games in 4 days. I'm excited about it as a coach because it's good preparation for the regional and national tournament.
So we're going to bump the coaches show next week, push it out a week to a Wednesday, I believe. We'll talk about that later. But we're going to play Southwest Virginia next week. Now, that's a team early in December. You guys beat them, I think, by 44 points. Gives you a little extra time to prepare for them. It's not a team you can take lightly because they lead Region 10 in scoring. They're averaging 94 points a ball game, so they can put some points on the scoreboard.
Well, one of the mottos we try to live by in terms of playing is respect all and fear none, and we've got to certainly respect their ability to put the ball in the basket at a high rate from the 3. I mean, they lead the nation in made threes. And, it kind of scares me as a coach when you beat somebody by 40-plus and then you got to turn around and play them again when you know they're very capable of playing at a high level. I mean, they turn around and beat Catawba Valley right after we beat them by 40. Yep. So, but before we get to them, we play Lenoir Saturday. So right now I'm funnel vision on Lenoir, yep. 1 game at a time.
Let's talk a little bit about COVID because the pandemic's still with us. And we've got, certainly not just in this area but across the nation, we've got COVID cases growing, so this pandemic is still not under control. It's been almost 2 years, really. Can you tell our viewers again, remind our viewers, the standard NJCAA protocol for COVID testing?
So each institution has their own policy on the testing part. If a kid tests positive, then we're obviously following the CDC guidelines. And as you know, numbers are rising in this, well, really nationwide, but especially here in North Carolina. It seems like this new variant is just spreading like wildfire. So we're encouraging all of our, not just student athletes, but students, faculty, staff, to wear a mask, not just while they're on campus, which is required. And so anyone coming to our games, please remember you're required to wear a mask inside the facility. But, wash your hands, take their vitamins, stay away from large gatherings, do things to limit the opportunity to catch it, because it is right now very, very prevalent in the state of North Carolina.
Well, we'll keep our eye on that, and I know you guys are doing everything you can, of course, to keep students and the players safe. So, absolutely appreciate that.
Well, this past week, Miles, we had, I think, 4 out of 12 teams in our league postpone games because somebody on their team caught COVID, tested positive, and exposed it to their whole team. So rescheduling of games right now is an absolute mess for ADs within Region 10.
Yeah. I feel like it's probably not over for we got some more coming our way probably too before the year's over. Against Sandhills, some of the familiar faces that we've seen for the year weren't there. Jaden Scriven, I think Chase Mebane, Tillman, Jarvis Tillman, Bryce Douglas, name a few that I noticed. Can you give us an update on these guys and maybe just an injury update on the team?
We had 6 guys out for the Sandhills game. 5 were sick, and 4 of them, Bryce and Jarvis, are still sick. 2 of the 6 are back, and Scriven and Chase, they were sick, but they're back. So we've got most of them back. We're still waiting on Bryce and Jarvis to get healthy. So we'll see how that plays out in the next few days, but we're praying they're staying healthy.
All right, so we got a little break talking with you. We're going to bring a special guest up here, and that is Kevin Eagan. So, Kevin, if you want to come up.
While Kevin's coming up, I just want to say that, I taught high school math for 25 years, and this guy, in just the 6 months I've known him, and when he reached out to me, he is way over my head, Miles. He's provided me with such analytical data that we would never have if it weren't for Kevin Eagan. So I cannot thank him enough. He's helped me. He's helped me teach the team what I want to teach by using some of this statistical data. And I want him to share with our viewers and our audience, where he got this from and how he does it, because the formulas are out of this world complicated. But the information he's given me is very simplistic, and it's very helpful.
Yeah. All right, good. We're looking forward to chatting with him. Kevin, come on up real quick. Also, Essie just responded back, love all of you, and I plan on being in the midst. Can't wait for the game on Saturdays. Kevin, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Good to have you here. Thanks for sharing some time with us.
Yeah.
First of all, tell our viewers what your role at Davidson-Davie is.
Yeah, I'm a math instructor in the math department. Been here for 3 years. Before that, I used to teach math at Rowan Cabarrus Community College down the road, and been teaching since 1995, I guess. And started out in high school, but been doing community college for quite a while now.
So 3 years at DDCC. Tell us a little bit about the school, what you enjoy about it, the school, and the students that you teach.
I mean, I guess that's part of what led to a lot of this is just I just love the school, and I just love the atmosphere. I love the students, the rest of the faculty. It feels like a family environment. A lot of schools just feel like big institutions, and it just didn't take long. People just welcomed me when I first got here, and having so many of the players in class, I just they're just really easy to root for, just because they're such great guys, and it just seemed like a perfect match to my interest in sports and interest in math, and it just kind of led from that.
So Coach Ridge tells us, and he can just introduce you, do some data analytics for him, for the Storm basketball team. Tell us a little bit about what some of that analysis looks like.
Well, I don't want to correct Coach Ridge, but it's all joking aside, it's absolutely terrifying, the level of sophistication that in the last 10 years sports have taken on, whether it's baseball or basketball or even the NFL now. It kind of all started with that Moneyball thing, and it was the geeks versus the scouts, and it has just taken on this world of its own. And the internet's a place where you can just go and learn about it. I've never taken a course in it. I've read some books, but if you go to like a team like the Charlotte Hornets or the 76ers, I mean, they employ PhD level mathematicians to do like out of this world. Like I'll read the papers, and at the end of it, I'll be like, I kind of sort of know what they're doing there, but I don't. So you can keep calling me smart. I really enjoy that. But we really are just dipping our toes in the shallow end of this thing, and who knows? Maybe in a couple of years we'll keep getting more sophisticated. But there's a website called basketballreference.com, and they have a section called Advanced Metrics. And I kind of started there, and I said, well, what do they calculate on Carolina? What do they calculate on, Duke and State? And, I started looking at some of those, and I just took the formulas. I said, well, Manuel Teague does most of the heavy lifting. He's been keeping stats for, years, and, everything we're calculating is coming from what he is collecting in the box score. So we just put them into the formulas, and the miracle of computers, you click and it just calculates, and it's, we go from there. A lot of these more advanced programs are doing things where they put, sensors in the ceiling and they track players. We're just getting everything from those box scores, but still useful. It can be new insights.
I mean, you mentioned how things have changed over the years. It used to be you look at points per game, or but you kind of get into the level. I think you were showing us something a little earlier before we started the show. It really is about possessions,
right.
Or for players it might not be points per game or rebounds per game, it's per minutes.
Right.
I mean, that's the level that you get to, right?
Right. So, the one day we all got together with the team, and we were starting out with some of this, and one of my favorite quotes is Mark Twain. Mark Twain says, "Statistics lie, and liars use statistics." And statistics are you just got to be careful. Even outside of sports. And I asked all the guys on the team, who are the best shooters in the NBA? And all the typical names come up, like Steph Curry and Kyrie Irving, and Steph Curry's shooting percentage is like 150th in the NBA.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, guess who's first in the NBA in shooting? And some guy you've never heard of, and they're like, after a while you start to realize, well, he's a center who just turns around and dunks, and Steph Curry's shooting from 40 feet. So, like, how do you come up with a number to measure? Some guys are taking tougher shots than others. One guy has more rebounds, but he plays more than the other guy. So, like, how do you quantify that so you can sift through and see who really is the best rebounder, who really is the best assist, person on the team? And yeah, you use those statistics to figure out how many possessions LJ is on the court, and how many rebounds does he get per possession. And that way you can compare LJ to another player who plays less, or you can compare him to another player that plays on a different team or in a different year, and it makes it apples to apples.
So obviously that could be and is a competitive advantage for a coach who wants to use that, right?
Yeah, it's what Matt and I talked about right from the outset. It's, this is just one more tool in his toolbox, and I think some, less experienced coaches might fall in love with some of it too much. It's great having an experienced coach like Matt. You kind of can give him the information and then say, hey, if you see a need for this, great, but nothing replaces a coach's eye and a coach's instinct. And kind of like he and I were talking earlier too, is, a lot of the statistics, the defensive nut hasn't been cracked yet. Like, it's really hard to measure defensive statistics. And, we really would have to rely on a coach for that. But, it's just one more piece of information that he can put in his toolbox. And if the time is right, he can use it. If not, Matt's, experienced enough to set it aside and say, no, my eyes still see this. But, it's just fun to play around with and provide it for them.
So what are some of those? What are some of those things that you're looking at? I think you handed Coach a sheet earlier with some stats on it.
So there's a real famous guy out there. His name is Dean Oliver. Dean, I don't think you're watching, but we'll footnote him. He went to Caltech, and wasn't a very good basketball player, but he got into this sort of thing, and he did all this analysis, and he figured out the 4 most important things that cause winning are how well you shoot the ball, how well you rebound the ball on the offensive end, just specifically that, how often you get to the foul line, not even whether you make the foul shots, but there's this crazy correlation between how many foul shots you get and winning. And then probably the least important one, or not the least important one, the second most important one is the turnover rate. So he basically figured out that you can look at assists, you can look at defensive rebounds, you can look at this, you can look at that, but those 4 things, he calls them the 4 factors. So, if your team is real good at shooting, then you could probably be a little bit weaker on the rebounding and still win. Or if you're not as good at shooting, you're going to have to make up in one of those other 4 factors. So, Matt, I think we met in the parking lot one day, and we were talking about how many points they're scoring, and we were looking at shooting percentages, and we said, well, if this one's down, we got to get one of these other ones up. And turnover rate is one of the ones we've been looking at a lot the last few weeks, and again, it's just this marriage between the statistical analysis and the coaching. Matt's taken some of those numbers, and I just sent him this graph yesterday, and it's just their turnover rate's been going down consistently for about a month now, and they're scoring.
Zoom in on it. Can you zoom in on it?
It's a nice trend line.
Yeah, it's a good trend line. So you're turning the ball over less, and the scoring has gone up, and that's not a coincidence, And it's funny because if you look at just turnovers, we're at game 8, game 9, game 10, what should be a good number of turnovers. But when you percentageify, I don't think that's a word, but when you percentageify everything, then you can really see, oh, wow, we are turning the ball over more than we did last year. And that's something they can emphasize in practice. And then when it shows up in the game and the points start going up, it's kind of neat to see that.
It's interesting. I love statistics. I've followed sports and, can remember from a young age just looking at the box scores. I like that. But really, there's a lot of different ways you can look at data and the way you shape it up. And you just said it, and Coach reminded me. This was a couple of coaches shows ago. It's funny because it starts to click in my head. I think in the game against Wake Tech, we lost by 4 points. And I looked at the free throw shooting, and we were 6 of 11 or something, 50-some%. And I said, Coach, 56%, those 5 free throws you missed really hurt. He said, I'm not too worried about the percentage. Doesn't bother me. It's that we only went to the line 11 times. I want to be at the line 20 times. If I go to the line 20 times and still shoot 56%, that's 5 points. We win the game. So it really helps you look at things in a different light.
And that's the ironic thing. It's most of these things I've shown Matt, it's his instincts already knew that.
Yeah.
A lot of this stuff is more just confirmation, but, as a coach, I'm sure that confirmation is a good thing to be able to take to a player, too, and say, hey, this is what we're seeing, this is what I was seeing, here's the numbers to back it up. And I think the Catawba Valley game, you guys had 50-some free throws. It's pretty hard to lose when you do that.
Well, let's not lose sight. The referees have something to do with that now. Each game's called differently, and as players and as coaches, we have to adjust to that.
Yep, absolutely.
Do you do a lot of statistical analysis on the opponents?
So, part of my selfish ambition with some of this was, I teach these guys, and I teach our students, and you guys know what the math class is like when it's, Johnny has 3 apples and Billy has 2 oranges. If you can come up with real life stuff, the buy-in is just greater. So we're always in our math department looking for real life stuff, real life data. I said, well, what better thing to do than to, pull in some sports? And, so we started doing that, and I guess my dream would be to, I'm still like learning it myself, but like to have a team of students or team of, players even to help out, because it is a lot of work, and computers make it easier, but like when I'm not busy with my real job, I love doing this stuff and sending Matt and saying, hey, like I noticed, like I think Sandhills last week, they had 2 guards and one's turnover rate was like 7%, really low, and one was like approaching 20%. Again, will Matt get an opportunity to utilize that? Maybe not, but maybe that's the guard you pressure if we're going to full court trap or something like that. And
So I need to stop him and give him an assist, because we did trap and pressure him a little more, and they had 33 turnovers, so we owe you an assist.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's the sky is almost a limit. You could do statistical analysis on the other teams. You could do statistical analysis on your team. You could do on individuals. You can do on if we really were able to build this up, you could do, how we do shooting against zone, how we do shooting against man-to-man, how we do in first half versus second half, how we do against different opponents. I mean, it's almost endless. Yeah. So we are, again, just dipping our toes in the shallow end, and I'm giving Matt some stuff when I can, but yeah, ideally that would be great.
Yeah, I think that's so cool. And you mentioned it. There are professional teams and college teams that pay people a lot of money to do this type of stuff. And you mentioned Moneyball, and goes back into the 90s. But even today in business, I mean, where I work, data analytics and predictive analytics give you as a company, just as it does a team, competitive advantage. And so very, very powerful stuff.
Yeah, no, I mean, my son is actually with me here tonight, and he's actually majoring in data analytics at the college level. And yeah, it can apply to healthcare, it can apply to environmental science, and it just so happens that sports is fun, but it's every field imaginable.
So as you've dug into some of this, where do you think right now the Storm, the team, is performing at a high level, and where do you think there's opportunity for them to continue to work on?
Yeah, again, it's nice just being able to be the numbers guy and then dump it in Matt's lap and say, you figure it out. But, the one part I really like to do is look like year over year. I mean, he's had so many successful teams in the past few years, and just compare. It's undeniable. They're defending this year at a better level than they have in the last 4 years. Tom Izzo, Michigan State, he has this famous line. The day after the game, he wants to see one statistic. He wants to see effective field goal percentage. It's kind of this advanced statistic, and that's the first thing he wants to see. So, I showed Matt what the other team's effective field goal percentage was after each game. But then we also look at it on the year, and they're leading Region 10 in this. And not only that, this version of the Storm is holding opponents to a lower effective field goal percentage than any of the previous teams in the last 4 years. So without a doubt, they're defending better than anything.
Got a lot to do with the 12 wins this year.
Absolutely. And, some of the other stuff they're doing great in too, but, it's if you can tweak turnovers just this much, and like you said with the free throws, and ring out 3 more possessions. Imagine at the end of a game if you said, hey, Matt, you want 3 more possessions? Sure, we'll take it. So it's all these little margins you're always trying to tweak,
That could have equated into it being 13-1 now, right?
Right.
So question for you, Kevin. Have you ever, or in the past, or have you ever considered trying your hand at coaching?
Well, I'm a baseball guy. Like, I grew up, I played baseball in college, and, I actually coached quite a bit early on when I was a teacher. And baseball was kind of where all this analytics started. But basketball has really taken it. And basketball, in many ways, is a harder sport. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts, I mean, baseball, like, throw a pitch, scratch yourself and spit and then throw another pitch. And, it's a lot easier to quantify some of that. Whereas I think that actually the brightest minds are intrigued by like trying to really statistically explain what's going on out there in that court. To answer your question, no, I'm way past the coaching age, but I almost like this better because, like I said, there's no pressure on me. I just say, here you go, Matt, have fun with it, and then I just like to go watch the games or watch the guys.
Do you get a chance to go to all the games?
No, I actually live in Concord, so a little bit of a hike, but I get to some, and then when they're online, I definitely tune in, and I go to bed early again, kind of old, but
I feel your pain. I know how that feels. Well, we really appreciate you doing this, and I know Coach Ridge does, and Coach Allen and the players. It really is a big value add to the program, and it's just another example of how the community and how the school, folks associated with the college, help contribute to the success of not just Storm basketball, but Storm athletics and the education of young men and women. I think it's great.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun, and I appreciate Coach Ridge being so open to it.
Well, thanks for being our guest. And any parting shots, Coach? Anything for Kevin?
We're just so blessed to have Kevin as a part of our team and inner circle. I mean, he's brought a lot of, like you said, value to what we're doing and making us better. And he's doing it free of charge and spending time. So we just are very appreciative of Kevin and what he's doing.
Kevin, thanks again for
guys.
joining us. Thanks for spending time with us and for that contribution to the program. All right, so we got some upcoming games we'll talk about, but I think, do we want to get Tim in here? Or?
Yeah, let's get Timmy on up.
Okay.
Timmy, let's go. Coming off a double-double against Sand Hills, first game of the season. Got his finger all fixed up so he can catch every pass. Right, Tim?
Yes, sir.
No drop passes, right?
No drop
Come on,
pass.
scoot up and join us.
Come on in here, Tim.
How
Welcome.
y'all doing, man?
Tim, a sophomore on this team from really from locally. Greensboro played at Dudley High School.
Yes, sir.
Did you go to Bluefield?
Oh, yeah, I went to Bluefield my freshman year.
Okay. You decided to come to the Storm.
Oh, yeah.
What-
It just didn't work out there. I just needed to transfer, get somewhere better. Just felt like this was a fit. He recruited me out of high school, so I had called him, did a pickup.
So you knew a little bit about the program.
Oh, yeah. I know how we win here. In high school, he sent me a lot of, like, pictures and stuff of them beating people like 50 and stuff like that. I was just amazed, like, crazy.
So I got a question for you. I know this had to be tough. So at the end of last year, you guys made it all the way to the finals, and you lose in that final game, and you decide to come back, and a lot of the players decide to come back, and you guys are going to make a run at it again. But before the games kick off, you get hurt.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the injury, and then tell us about how tough that was for you.
It was kind of tough. Sitting back watching after, like, I never really got injured in my whole life. So it was kind of tough. Surgery was kind of hard. Sitting out for 2 months just watching the team play. I just wanted to play with those guys. So the rehab was tough. I had to get it back bent, a lot of pain going through therapy and stuff like that. So, and then getting out of shape was one of the things I worried about and I had to work on. So, yeah, that was pretty hard.
Were you able, during that period, during the rehab period, were you able to spend time at practice with the team, games, you come and watch everything?
Oh, yeah. I missed, like, 2 weeks sitting at home. They had given me medication for pain and stuff. I really couldn't drive or move, so I missed seeing practice. And I wouldn't say I got behind because I've been here for a minute. So, yeah, I had to sit at home and get some rest from surgery, so I was out for a minute.
So we were anxious for you to come back and looking forward to your debut, which was last Saturday, and it was a good one. I mean, you came out of the gate, you had a ton of energy. You hit that three-point shot right off the bat, and just your energy level, I thought was awesome. You were you very vocal out there, which I thought was great. Talk about your first game back, 14 points, 10 rebounds, double-double. I think you had 3 steals.
Yeah. I was very hungry, like, just watching, seeing some of the things I could be doing out there. So it really ate me up at home. So I'm just sitting here watching the games from home and then come to the game just sitting. I wasn't used to it because I never really did that all last year. So it really had me just ready to play. Like, I just been anxious the whole time. So coming back, I just had a lot of energy and was just ready to go out and go at people, and just show them like I'm back type thing, So I just had like a chip on my shoulder.
You were also chirping. I kept hearing this, oh, and I was like, what is that? And I kept looking. It was you. You were out there. I don't know if you were calling for the ball or something, but man, you were into it.
Yeah.
I thought your energy level was great, and that you played 28 minutes maybe.
Yeah. All my life I really just like going at people, going hard. I just always had energy. That's one thing he told me while recruiting me. I had energy and I always had a motor. So I don't know. It just always comes to me. I just had the demand for the ball and just go at those Sand Hill guys.
I was going to say,
Hold up, back up a little bit, Miles.
Yeah.
What were you doing to call for the ball?
I was yelling for it. I don't know. It sounded like barking.
Okay.
I'm kind of a dog.
I know I want you to play like a dog, but you don't have to bark like a player.
So how did it feel? I know you guys beat the Flyers 4 times last year. It's a big rivalry. Saturday. How did that feel?
Oh, it felt good. It felt normal. We beat them 4 times, so I feel like we can just always do it. I don't think I ain't gonna say that, but I feel like we gonna always give them a game. They ain't gonna never just come in our gym. Anybody come in our gym and just take it from us, So yeah.
So a lot of new pieces to some pieces that came back on this team. How do you feel about the team right now?
I feel like we just gotta keep going 1% every day. Never feel comfortable. You just gotta keep going hard. I feel good about the new guys on the team. They came in, fit in well. Listening to coach. If you listen to coach, we were bound to win. So that's one big thing we did. Energy too. Yeah, that's really one thing.
So the rest of this year, basketball goals for you. What are they? And then tell us a little bit about your personal goals after college.
My personal goals after college. All my life I wanted to just play professional ball, but it's always had to be a second plan for anything. So I don't know what yet. I have family members that own businesses and stuff like that and very successful. So I kind of like talk to them, get a couple of advice and things. So I want to start my own business and be successful with that and be my own boss type thing.
Good deal. I know you'll be successful. You do anything you want to do, you know that, right?
Yeah, yes, sir. Aiming high.
Tim Boulware, Coach, anything you want to say to Tim before we finish up here?
Tim has been instrumental in what we've done for 3 years. Not just his ability, but his humility. Every day he's coachable with a great attitude. Just so blessed to have Tim a part of our inner circle here at Davidson because he's certainly athletic and talented. He showed that on Saturday. He had a nice dunk right after he missed the layup, but we're not going to talk about that. But, he can shoot it. He's involved into more of a skilled perimeter player. When he first got here, he thought he was a guard, and over time I think his guard skills have improved. So the biggest thing for me personally is his attitude, his mentality, and he will be successful not just on the court but in life because he's so humble and coachable, and he's a really good person.
Man, I tell you, you can't beat that coming from Coach here.
It's an honor.
So thank you very much for sitting down with us. Again, great game. Great to have you back, and I look forward to the rest of the season, Tim.
Appreciate you.
Thank
Appreciate you having me.
Thank you. Tim Boulware, very well-spoken young man, as all the Storm guys are. All right, Coach. So we got a few more minutes. You got game Saturday. Let's talk real quick about Lenore, if you don't mind. It's a team that game's at 2 p.m. Right?
Correct. 2 p.m.
It's a game that if you look at their record, they're 1-9, 5-game losing streak. But a lot of their losses really deceiving, close contests. What does your scouting report tell us about this Lenore team?
First of all, they're the best 1-9 team in the history of basketball. They almost beat Fayetteville Tech, who only has 3 losses in our league. They've got 2 guards that average almost 50 points a game combined. Number 0 could probably not just play but start for every team in our league. Number 1 averages close to 19 points a game, so we've got to understand where those 2 guys are at all times. Number 11 is extremely bouncy and athletic. He averages 9 rebounds a game. So they play their starting 5 a lot of minutes. So we're hoping to really ramp up the number of possessions. I'm sure they're going to try to do the opposite. They play some zone. They play multiple defenses, so we got to prepare for multiple defenses, which we've already started doing. So I'm excited about the game. Our kids, I think they understand that this team is very capable of beating anybody in our league. They've played a lot of people close. They've lost every conference game, so you know they're going to be hungry, Miles.
Well, you're undefeated at home this season, which is not unusual. But after that 7-game road stretch to end the 2021 part of your schedule, how good does it feel for you to start out the beginning of the year with 3 straight games at Brinkley?
There's no better place to play in the country than Brinkley Gym. Obviously one day we'd like to have a bigger facility, Lord willing, but at the same time I will miss Brinkley so much because the fans are right on top of you. Our community is, as you know, so supportive, and the atmosphere they create for our players and everybody in that gym is unique. There's no question that our fans have helped us win a lot of games in the 15 years of our program. So it was great to be back in Brinkley. We had 7 straight road games, as you said. We did go 6-1, and we're looking forward to Saturday afternoon at 2 o'clock. So if you're interested in coming out and seeing some good basketball, 2 o'clock Brinkley Gym this Saturday.
Okay, we got a game Saturday. We'll have our next coaches show is not going to be next Thursday. It's going to be the week after on Wednesday at 7 o'clock here at the Eatery. We invite you to come in for that. But we do have a home game also on Thursday of next week against Southwest Virginia. That game, is that a 7 o'clock tip-off?
That's 7 o'clock next Thursday night. Is that the 13th, I believe?
13th, yep.
January 13th, 7 o'clock. You'll see the number 1 team in all of Division II JUCO, over 100 JUCOs in the country, lead the nation in made threes versus the Storm.
So we invite you to come out for that. A lot of Storm activity here to kick off the new year, which is great. Any final comments? Any shout outs to sponsors you want to say or talk about?
Absolutely. So in the last 6 months, we have Strickland Brothers and Jerry Hunt Auto, who are diamond level sponsors. Justin Strickland's name will be on our court again here in a few weeks, and of course Jerry Hunt Auto is a diamond level sponsor. Then we have Mohawk Industries, Edward Jones, Fidelity Bank, BB&T Truist, Sage Auto, Dow Craver, Novant, and McIntyre Manufacturing, all helping us reach our goals and our future needs of our entire athletic program, golf as well as volleyball. Also want to have a shout out to Dr. Jonathan Brown in attendance tonight. He was one of our guest speakers earlier in the year, and he's a big supporter behind the scenes, comes and sees me after every game, tells me what I'm doing wrong. And we got some of our players back here. I see Javion brought his girl, Renata. Thank you for coming out, Renata. And all these guys back here, LJ, Zai, Ja, Timmy, Faust. Did I miss somebody? I said LJ. LJ wants a shout out.
That's the table to be at right there.
And then, of course, Kevin and his son. So appreciate them coming out. My family's back there, Candace and the girls, Natalie, and, of course, the team behind the scenes. Thank you so much.
So, Coach, we thank you. Look forward to the game on Saturday. Thank you, Storm fans, for tuning in for the Coaches Show. Essie, thank you for the comment here as well. We appreciate it. Appreciate Jared, of course, Brandon, Mullis, and all the folks here that help us out, Tristan Wells. And, again, we want to give a shout-out to the new owner here at the Eatery, Jay McGannis. We appreciate him being a great host and allowing us to come in here and do that. So until 2 weeks from, the 13th.
No, that's not right.
The 19th. A Wednesday, we'll be right here for the next Coach's Show, so we invite you to join us then.
Thanks, Miles.
Thanks, Coach.